By now, most people know that Bitcoin is not totally private like Monero is, and it's only semi-anonymous. But in a fully interconnected online ecosystem of advanced shopping cart plugins, Google and Facebook advertising and analytics, Princeton University researchers have shown how Bitcoin transactions are linked to your browser's web cookie data when checking out with your favorite online merchant. To make matters worse for your privacy, not only is your identity at risk, but this new research demonstrates how easy it is to reveal the exact Bitcoin transaction on the blockchain too. So, does this erase the supposedly semi-anonymous nature of Bitcoin? What does this mean for merchants who accept online digital currency? And what do you need to know if you care about your privacy online? Let's discuss. Hey everybody, I'm Gary Palmer Jr., you're you, and together, welcome to Minting Coins. There is a lot going on today, as every day in crypto land, and it's pretty exciting. When the ups are going up, it's exciting, and when the downs are going down, it's going exciting. And when you're only, or neither halfway up or down, it's still very, very exciting. So thank you for being here. There's, as we were saying, a lot going on. The markets are acting as we would expect with the Bitcoin and the Bitcoin Cash, and then we have this new jump with the Monero coin as well, the anonymous, by default anonymous coin on the internet, which has a long history of being favored by people all over the world. And with this news, we're seeing a jump in Monero. Also, we're seeing information about SegWit and the Bitcoin Lightning Network coming out. And really the main part of today's news that we're going to be getting to in just a little bit is talking about how in this online world with Google Analytics and with interconnecting your Facebook profile across all these different websites, advertising, retargeting, cookies, plugins, shopping data and connecting with other websites to make your web experience better and more efficient to give you exactly what you want. This crossing of web technology, they're dropping cookies in your browser, right? You're probably familiar with this now. When you visit websites on the internet, there's cookies that are being dropped on your browser that are personally identifying you, who you are, and then connecting you and who you are with all the different things that you do online. Including every single search that you do online, every search that you do on Facebook, every website you visit, how long you visit that website. And what we're seeing today, what we've known about, but what we're seeing with this research out of Princeton is this is also including now your potentially your Bitcoin address and your exact Bitcoin transactions. And we're going to get really all into that and talk about that because online advertising and digital marketing is something that I know a lot about. And so it'll be really interesting to help put that in context for you, both as a consumer and as a potential online business owner yourself. So with that being said, why don't we go into the market, take a look at all the news and happenings online and about, pop into the news, and let's discuss. All right, so starting over here quickly over at coinmarketcap.com, looking at the total cryptocurrency market capitalizations, we're looking at a total cryptocurrency market cap of $140 billion. Yes, that's $140 billion. It's a lot of money, about where we've been seeing consistently for the past few days or so. But what is blowing my mind is just $9 billion in 24-hour volume. I don't think I've ever seen this much volume go through the cryptocurrency space since I've been watching it. I'm sure maybe it's happening, but I just don't recall. There are some days that I haven't looked at coinmarketcap.com, but $9 billion. I wonder if that's a record. I haven't checked. Our Bitcoin dominance is down 45.7%. So let's take a look at what is going on. So looking at this in dollars, the Bitcoin price is most recently here dropped 4.75%, and also the Bitcoin Cash has also dropped in the past 24 hours 20%. In the meantime, we've seen Ethereum increase 5%. Make this a little larger for us. And what else do we have going on? And Monero jumping a large 52%, and we are now in the $1 billion market cap for not only all the top 10 coins, but also Monero, or top 11 coins, but also Monero now as well. Over $1 billion total market capitalization in the top 11 coins. It's a lot of money. And so we just see this money entering this space. We see this trading going in and out. The top 3 coins, Bitcoin BTC, Ethereum ETH, and then Bitcoin Cash, BCH here, each over $1 billion, $1 billion, $2 billion, $3 billion in 24-hour trading. It's a lot of trading going on. Oh, I missed this here. Ripple up 17% as well. So there's a lot going on in the space. Looking at this compared to the Bitcoin price, so we can see here Ethereum, while the Ethereum is up 5% in USD, it's actually up 10% in Bitcoin. Let's see here for the Monero. Monero's up 52% in USD, and in Bitcoin it's actually up 59%. So relative to Bitcoin, these coins are doing even a little bit better. And so why is Monero, quickly, why is Monero going increasing? So Monero is increasing because we have this news that Monero is going to be added to the Bithumb exchange, and so that's going to increase the number of people who have access to trading the Monero cryptocurrency. And with all of that additional capital available to access Monero, other people who already have access to Monero see that as a sign that the coin is going to go up in value once all these other people start jumping in, increasing the value of that coin because of the additional money that's going into that coin, because there's all this additional fiat from this new part of the world. I believe it's South Korea. And so with that, people are just expecting the total to go up with that news, with that influx of capital. So that's what's going on there. Buy low, sell high, generally speaking, or hold either way. That's the name of the game. And so enjoy, hold. If this is a long-term game, be careful about parting with your coins. They always say that when you hear about these things in the news, it's not a good time to be purchasing it. Some people tell you that you should be purchasing all the way up. Maybe if you're dollar cost averaging and you're buying consistently up and down, then that could be a good strategy. None of this is financial advice. It's just general commentary. But you don't want to be purchasing, if you're not purchasing a coin, if you're not dollar cost averaging and you just hear about this in the news and the prices are already pumped 20, 40, 50, 80%, more than likely the coin drops back down again. It's really rare that it is actually mooning, and that's why you just already want to have your coins in the game. And so you just want to hold. You just want to just consider holding and just being really careful being parted with those coins. And so with the current Bitcoin price dropping below $4,000, we could be hitting this dip, even though there's these predictions that we're going to hit the $5,000 mark and then go into a deeper dip. It just is inevitable that the Bitcoin's going to go up and Bitcoin's going to go down. And then most people are predicting that overall into the next 3 years, it's going to go a lot more up than it will go down. But when it does go down, then generally speaking, what people recommend is, you buy in the dips. When the dips happen, that's a good time to get in, because we know, long term, more likely than not, this is going to the moon. So don't buy high, buy low. Buy when the prices are going down, not when the prices are going up. Generally speaking, just something to consider, because where we ultimately want to get to is that we want to be able to take these Bitcoins and we want to be able to actually buy a house with a whole Bitcoin, or to purchase a car with a Bitcoin. And when someone says that they purchased a Tesla, Model S with their Bitcoin, hopefully they're talking about something a little more practical than than what we see here with this Hot Wheels. And so if you sell all your Bitcoin and you get parted with it, and you're constantly chasing the news and putting your money into out of one thing into something else and losing Bitcoin with each of those transactions, then this is the type of Tesla that you would end up with, and not the actual Tesla. Real quick, another space, I thought this was really interesting when we were talking about the Bitcoin in space, what people think I do versus what I actually do. Just thinking about the Bitcoin in space with the astronaut and the Bitcoin mining in space versus someone just holding up a satellite tower, trying to collect that signal, get that information, and then to sync your node. And so here's an example over here of someone that has the dish set up, that has the satellite receivers hooked up to their computer, and then they are here receiving blockchain data from the satellite node, fully operational, working. And this is for everyone in the world to now take advantage of Bitcoin BTC being broadcast around the world with satellites, allowing more people to sync their nodes to become even more decentralized of a blockchain digital asset and cryptocurrency. Also with Bitcoin, I just wanted to mention, just so to make sure everyone knows, that as soon as tomorrow, and so tomorrow's Tuesday, if you're watching this on Tuesday or whenever that is, the Lightning Network transactions are more than likely going to be able to be available as soon as tomorrow, as soon as Tuesday the 22nd. So that's just something to be on the lookout for. Is this happening? And so what does this mean? This means that this is what is going to allow for the sidechain network and the sidechain setup. And so how sidechains work. And so we're not going to get into this article right now. We can save this for another time when we get a little bit deeper into talking about how sidechains work and how Lightning Network works and getting into some of this detail. There's pros and cons, in my opinion, with how this technology works. Some of it may be necessary evil. There's also issues with the proof of work versus the proof of stake. I'm not against proof of work. It's just that for someone to do, or proof of stake, but for someone to do proof of stake, which means that you need to have a certain amount of, say Dash, for example, you need to have 1,000 Dash locked up to have a proof of stake. And so if for someone to have 1,000 Dash saved up, and Dash is currently $275, someone would need $275,000, more than $250,000 to have enough Dash to do a proof of stake for Dash. And so the proof of stake versus the proof of work, there's advantages and disadvantages with how the power and the voting and the decision making is separated between people with the resources to achieve that voting right, and then other people who are getting into the cryptocurrency or the digital assets now who aren't necessarily able to be in a position for them to have a voice as well. The same sort of situation with the side chains, depending on who owns a side chain, it just, at least from my position, remains to be seen how much privacy and or freedom or rules would be given and or restricted for the people who operate in the side chain, or people who operate in a secondary side chain. Even though these are all operating off of the main Bitcoin blockchain rules, where does that disconnect break down? I think that's a concern that a lot of people have. With that being said, everything that SegWit does resolve and everything that SegWit is fixing and everything that Lightning Network is achieving on top of SegWit, theoretically, as everyone is predicting on the the core side and the Blockstream side, is going to solve so many problems that we're just going to see this massive improvement in Bitcoin, which is going to increase the usage of Bitcoin. It's going to increase the adoption of Bitcoin, and then it's going to increase the value of Bitcoin, and more miners are going to want to mine Bitcoin BTC, and that's what we're looking for. Not just the implementation of SegWit, not just the implementation of Lightning Network, but we want to see actual usage, actual demand, actual utility to increase people's desire to own Bitcoin and to be part of the Bitcoin ecosystem. All right, so getting into the main news for today, our main story, we have news out of Princeton University, and this article at cointelegraph.com. And so this Princeton University research is talking about people buying online items, buying goods, buying services with Bitcoin, and then essentially losing their complete anonymity, to lose that privacy of their identity and their transaction details through the leaking of information through the cookies of the web browser. And so this research out of Princeton University has shown how the Bitcoin transactions with online merchants who are, again, accepting this digital currency can very easily lose this data. Surprisingly easy, as they say, shockingly easy, as they detail in this article, to use the cookies to trace the users and to trace their purchases with the cookies. They demonstrate just how straightforward it can be to link the cookies to the cryptocurrency transaction. And so they have a little graphic here. There's links in the article where you can research and get this information at a deeper level. Check out the Princeton research itself if you want to take a deeper dive into that information. And so why is this? By and large, this is because third-party leaks. That's a third-party connecting devices, companies who are offering services for these online merchants are connecting with a shopping cart, and then that's how this information is being leaked. And it only takes a small amount of information to be leaked. And then the Bitcoin spender can be tied to the purchase that's being made with the Bitcoin. And with the way that the Bitcoin and all the Bitcoin in the world is connected on the ledger, and depending on how your Bitcoin is connected to itself and how you connect your payments and your transactions, if someone knows what is one transaction that you made, then they may be able to connect the dots to follow the cookie crumbs, as it were, of the blockchain and the Bitcoin ledger, and they may be able to figure out other transactions potentially as well, or relationships inside the network, not just between the transactions of you and what you're purchasing, but transactions between addresses, identities of addresses, all sorts of details, if you could imagine. So out of 130 online merchants that accept Bitcoin, the researchers said that 53 leak payment information to 40 different parties. So this is about 40% of these online merchants were leaking information to about 40 different companies, third-party companies. And so these third-party companies of which the data was leaked to are due to or connected with the shopping cart pages, which are mostly and primarily to blame. But there's other reasons as well, such as advertising and analytics. You have to think the Facebook Connect to make it easy for you to do the comments. Whenever there's Facebook comments on a page, that's Facebook, your Facebook data being connected with that website. Whenever there's Google Analytics on that web page, whenever there's one of these third-party tracking softwares. So if you click on a hotel room to do hotel shopping, or plane shopping, or shoe shopping, and then you have those ads continue to follow you around the internet, and those are additional advertising and analytics, and there's all sorts of companies that are being connected here. And again, to make matters worse, it's not just your personal identity that's being connected to the purchase and the transaction and the use of Bitcoin, but it can also reveal the exact transaction on the blockchain itself. Out of 130 sites that the researchers checked, 107 leaked some kind of transaction information. 31 allowed third-party scripts to access the user's Bitcoin addresses, and others shared either the non-BT denominational price of the transaction, and 30 shared the actual transaction price in Bitcoin. So this is just a lot of information that is being shared about the people who are shopping on these websites, the people who are using these websites, and people who may be under the assumption that Bitcoin is 100% private, or they may think that Bitcoin is semi-private, semi-anonymous, when depending on the situation, how you're using it, who you're using it with, how, you know, what sort of precautions you have on your personal computer, and what sort of precautions the merchant has, you could be losing all of your identity, and not just of that transaction, but the other transactions connected to that transaction. So what can so on the merchant side of things, what can you do about it? So on the merchant side of things, this information can be checked with coders and developers to see which plugins, which tools, which scripts are leaking this information, and but it's not easy. This needs to be gone through with a fine-tooth comb, especially since a lot of these tools are critical for business owners to use. And then as a user, it's really, really difficult because they make it nearly impossible to operate these websites without having cookies on. Some of these websites are difficult to use with Tor browsers, and some of these websites are using all sorts of other ways to track you outside of your cookies too. So this is just talking about the cookie data, but there's other super sophisticated ways that your identity can be tracked, sort of, they call it, I think, fingerprint identity, with matching up all the different minor characteristics of, you know, your system when it's visiting a web page. Maybe if it's you know, the screen size, or the details of the browser, or the details of the computer, and just putting these different things together to sort of have a relative assurance of someone's identity. And so with all these different ways that tracking is happening, it's more than likely best to assume, especially if you don't know exactly for sure what you're doing, that everything you do is being tracked. Everything that you do is being, if not tracked now, recorded now to be tracked later. So whenever you're, you know, have these transactions, you know, definitely don't want to be doing anything illegal, right? And then, you know, but you probably care about your privacy. So if you're not doing anything illegal and you care about your privacy, there are some steps, there are some things that you can do to help protect you and to help protect your experience online. And so some of those things that you can do is that you can use a VPN. Get a VPN and start using a VPN to cover your you know, your IP address and your location. You can start learning about Tor browser and using a Tor browser and Tor connection to start to scramble your location and your identity when you're visiting some of these online merchants. You can, geez, what else? You can use your privacy-based websites, like you know, privacy mode on your browser. DuckDuckGo is a popular search engine that people use instead of using Google. But ultimately, all of these are still connected. They're all, you know, it's still really difficult to get around any of these sort of obstacles that are in the way, because it's just an advanced online world, right? We have this new world coming with blockchain technology, and it's really, really interesting because it's going to be a little bit worse and it's going to be a little bit better. And maybe I'm wrong. Maybe it's going to be a lot worse and a lot better. Because on one hand, you have coins like Monero, which have extreme privacy measures put into it. And it's one of the reasons that Monero is so popular, even with all of the downsides to Monero. Monero is, you know, sort of difficult to get. It's difficult to run. It's difficult to find a wallet that uses it. It's difficult to find a lot of exchanges that may offer it the way that you want to purchase it. It's sort of just confusing. It hasn't worked well in the ecosystem. They, you know, did some fake sort of pumps on their own coin, which was sort of bad PR. But even with all that, fundamentally, the developers who are working on Monero have just made it to be a coin with extreme privacy. When you go to look up the Monero coin or an address, they don't give out the information like Bitcoin does. And Bitcoin could have that level of privacy, but the situation with these coins is that you want to have full privacy on by default, because naturally, you know, people have a right for privacy and to not have everything they do be public to everyone in the world. So that's why with the blockchain technology, it can also be the opposite of awesome, where every single transaction, every single detail of every single thing that you do with your money can be fully tracked with something like a Fed note or a Fed coin or some sort of, you know, government central bank regulated cryptocurrency. So it can go in both directions, right? Where either you're have absolutely no privacy, or you have 100% total and absolute privacy, or maybe it's somewhere in the middle, right? Like Bitcoin is. And so that's one of the things about Bitcoin. It came out first, so it's missing, you know, full perfection, right? But perfection is the enemy of progress. If you want to get something done, you're not worried about making it perfect. You're just worried about doing something, about getting it, having an idea, working an idea, releasing that idea, getting feedback, and then iterating and making it better. And so that's what Bitcoin has been doing. And with that process, this is where we are today with Bitcoin at a really healthy level, near $4,000, if not, potentially ready to exceed at a solid level that $4,000. We've been solidly over $3,500 for some period of time, right? We have all these new coins coming out that are trying to be perfect or that are trying to be better than Bitcoin. We have coins like Zcash to some regard. We have coins like Pivx with some regard. We have Zencash, which is seeking to be a better form of Zcash and a better form of Z Classic. We have just all sorts of ideas out there. We have OpenBazaar, which is an online decentralized sort of eBay that people can download, and there's pros and cons about that, OpenBazaar as well. We have Particle. So there's a Particle coin that maybe you heard of, maybe you haven't. That's really interesting. That wants to build a fully decentralized cryptocurrency and a fully decentralized marketplace that just has total privacy. Very interesting. Not sure how that's going to pan out, being a U.S. based company, but that's what they're working on, and they seem to be doing very, very well in terms of meeting their progress. And so there's a lot of options out there. This is a major concern, and overall now you just understand to a greater extent that visiting these websites and having all these third-party technologies on these other websites that you're using are dropping cookies on your browser and connecting your personal identity and the transactions that you're making together. And so just be careful out there what websites you're using. Be careful what websites you're clicking on. Don't purchase from websites or try to use websites that don't have security. You always want to go to the HTTPS version of every single website you ever visit, if they have that option. If you have a favorite website and it doesn't have HTTPS, you want to encourage that website owner or that business to have security on their website, to not have all these excess tools. And as this community develops, we need to figure out what these tools are exactly, and then figure out either how to fix them or not use them, because ultimately we just need to do our best to incrementally make this world a stronger, safer, more decentralized, more secure place. And you have a little more information now to help you on that path. As a bonus tip, go through your Wi-Fi connections that you have, your saved connections that you have remembered on your computer. And if you haven't used it in the past month, then just forget those, because that's also a security risk. having all those networks remembered on your computer. So yeah, with that, a lot of information. Thanks for sticking around. Click that like button, tap that like button. It really helps. I love it. I feed off that energy of that like button. It's almost better than receiving donations. We received an Ethereum donation that felt really good. We're looking forward to doing a lot of cool things with the channel. We're looking forward to seeing what sort of conferences that we can go to. We're looking at Anarchapulco, about that conference with the Dollar Vigilante, and CryptoPoco is right up our alley. We'd love to go to that. We're trying to figure out if and how we can make that happen, and we hopefully will have more details to come. With that being said, again, thanks for showing up. Put your comments in the comments below. I'd love to know, what do you think about this? What are your feelings about this? What are you doing to protect yourself? Are you learning about a Tor browser? Are you learning about VPNs? What questions do you have? Share your thoughts, and we'll be having some more news coming out very, very soon. In the meantime, I'm glad that we're minting coins.